Hi, guys. Welcome to our new episode. This is Yes and No podcast. And today I have Matt with me in LA. This is our one of the new
special
episodes that we're in the same space, not like a Zoom call.
Never use Zoom.
Yeah. What are we talking about today?
There's something dear to my heart that I always wanted to
What
have
is
a
it?
conversation.
What is it? You never told me that before.
You know, like I'm wearing the right shoes actually for that. It's about humanity. And are we alone in the universe?
We are alone. There's no one.
No, that's not true.
There's no one out there.
Well, did you see the news about the UAPs?
Are we talking about UFOs? It's UFO. That's
Yes,
how I
UFO.
grew up.
Okay.
Back in the days, we were saying UFOs, okay?
Yes, okay, I agree.
So you're the expert. You think they are
I mean,
here?
no. First of all, yes. Yes.
And no.
Yes.
And no.
No, yes. And you're mostly no.
Okay, hold on. I agree that they are out there maybe somewhere, but do you think they are here?
Like among us?
Like watching us or whatever?
Coming sometimes?
Yeah, coming and going.
Definitely.
Like 100%.
100%.
That's so interesting. Because he was talking about recently, and more people are talking about it, that I think they were also saying it's from another dimension.
Yeah.
Like maybe, but what is that even like? Okay, tell me more about what you think.
First of all, like, do you believe that? Do you believe there's UFO, aliens, or things like that?
I do believe that there are aliens in the sense of like there are life out in the universe. And I believe that there might be consciousness, like intelligent beings in the universe.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think they're here.
What do you mean? You don't think they're here?
I don't think they are aware of Earth or observing us or coming and going.
Why though?
I don't think there's enough evidence for me to believe that.
You think it's like the Fermi Paradox?
Could be Fermi Paradox, but also like when we look at space, we were looking in the past, they're so far away. Like if anything, I don't know. I need to know a little bit more to say like, okay, these creatures or life forms or whatever can travel that far. And then not only that, they are hiding themselves so well that we don't have enough evidence. So, okay, but so I can see that that's a possibility, but I need more.
So as a scientific person, all right, usually you're talking about on a podcast, we're talking about like evidence-based things that you can repeat in terms test and things like that, right? But also we need to start with an assumption, something visual, something first that we are like,
100%.
okay, like hypothesis, all right?
Yeah.
The thing is about UFO is like it's been around for so long, all right, that it came actually to the pop culture too, like so many movies, Independence Day, you know, and all that. Like they created that idea of what an alien could look like, and also those flying saucers and things like that. But what is interesting to me in terms of science-based is the fact that a lot of people are seeing some stuff through generations, because like it's lasting since the 30s, right? Are kind of similar in different places, in different contexts, and trying to an understanding of what it is. So I think the hypothesis is already there in some way, being like, okay, are those people tripping? Or
yeah,
is it
100%.
Part of real? Yeah. And then how can we be sure the things are real, right?
Yeah.
And for me, at that point, it's such a mess. I agree in terms of, do we have solid evidence about that? Absolutely not. But do we have enough evidence to think that the hypothesis could be right? I think so. And this is where, you know, like you're not following me into that most of the time. But I think this is what I'm saying. Like, oh yeah, I'm sure they do exist and they come to visit us for sure.
I agree. This was our episode. Thank you guys. No, I'm going to be the no.
I know you're no.
I mean, I would believe more that it's like a military fucking secret department, kind of a research thing, more than alien. I think US government has some technological department that like creating some shit.
I agree. But like, what is interesting is you put that in just a perspective of the US, where like those sightseeing of UFOs occurred everywhere on Earth, and a lot of people that are totally different places, different countries, different social background and cultural background too, and they still saw something. So I think it's a pretty bold move to say, oh, it's the US, military, they have like this new project going on, and oh, we're seeing something like that, but it's not alien.
I mean, think about the Manhattan Project, for example. Like, people didn't know it for like a long time, and it was reasonable because like the science and the technology to create a bomb that's that strong was feasible, was out there, but nobody managed to do it. And then this secret government organization managed to do it, right? And then now we know. And I remember hearing about that like in the 90s. And I don't know when it came out, but I feel like for a long time that people speculated on like someone is going to find a huge, very strong bomb or something. And then someone did. But I can't really, of course, say what are those things are. But like one theory is that maybe US has like this laser technology that can create certain sky phenomenons that people sometimes like see these like super fast things, which sometimes looks like a laser too.
Maybe.
What was that sound?
No, I agree. Yeah. I mean,
maybe. But like, it's so crazy if that's true, and Americans or maybe another country, who fucking knows?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
if there's like
the
this,
US?
I don't know. I just throw it out there because of the technology and stuff, but it might be another country too. I think what's interesting is when you look at those videos, like the movement is very weird. Like it's so fast.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like defies physics. Right?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So that's why I started with the laser, because it kind of makes sense because
Okay.
But if it's a flying thing, like that's still hard for me to go with a theory that's like, oh, they find something flying and it defies physics. Now, I think there is like this theory also about like a plasma space or something. Like you create a space that, I don't know if you like, there's like a device that they theorize that kind of defies
I know what you're talking about.
I don't remember what exactly it was, but it kind of basically breaks the time and space, and it just acts like almost like a super fast. But I would believe
the warp drive.
The warp drive, yeah, that one. But I cannot really prove that too, that there's a secret American military organization. But if I would lean into anything, I would lean into that more than there's like aliens coming and checking us out. But go for your theory.
All right. So first of all, it's a question about just small experiences. I always like thought that maybe if we discovered an alien, spaceship, UFO, whatever, alien technology, that would actually put people back on Earth more grounded to reality. That will dissipate this idea about gods and, religions in general. And I always like this idea, though, yeah, sure, we might not be alone in the universe, which I think is 100% like in terms of.
Do you like a small question, but do you think if people saw aliens, would they start questioning their religious beliefs?
I think so.
Interesting.
But the thing, for me was something like to put humanity in general to not on a pedestal, being like, okay, we should be grounded to, okay, what we are basically, like animals that can think, that can create together, and they're there for a small time, and then that's it. All right. So I like this idea. Like I love sci-fi, like a lot of people, and I got interested more and more about different projects that they were going on because sure, as a kid, you're like, oh, you imagine like things outside in the universe looking at the stars, but there are actually real people studying that, right? There's like multiple studies that are trying to listen to sound in space, look for some other planets, exoplanet and things like that. So there's actually real people, scientists that are working on the subject. And then, there's folklore on top of it, which basically are stories that you can hear from other people. And for me, the first person that actually kind of talked about that in a non-sci-fi way,
Or to you?
yeah, to me, was my grandfather. So he was in the military right after the Second World War. And when basically Roswell, you know, the fucking crash that everybody knows, happened, he told me that. He told me like, oh, the military, the French people, they knew something was going to crash in the US, but they couldn't respond because it was in US territory automatically. From the perspective of my grandfather, which was like, he was a mechanic, electronic guy, like super grounded to reality and technology in general. Like for him, he was telling me there was something real fucking strange that just basically appeared from nowhere and it just crashed in the US. The French government, army, and all that, like they knew about it in some way. They couldn't do anything because obviously the US were there first because it's their place. But that was the first time that he mentioned some kind of theory in some way, like, oh yeah, Roswell basically happened for real, and other countries knew about it. It's not like, oh, this bullshit balloon that just crashed in the US and, you know, some random cops and sheriff, you know, from the local town was like, oh, what is that? Oh, it's the balloon? Oh, I don't know. And that's it. No, it felt like other countries already back then knew about this. So it's not like, oh, whatever small technology that you can still find today that was like, oh, it's a drone, you know, that crashed and everybody knew about it. Like, especially then, in terms of technology, being able to see something big that would crash on Earth in a specific place, that means you needed like so much resource. Whereas today, yeah, you get people with a phone and they can film something. So I think, first of all, that for me was like, okay, I want to know more now.
He's giving so much conspiracy theorist vibes right now, but continue. Sorry.
No, but that's true. Like that's I like as a kid, I was like, okay, this is cool. This is interesting, you know. And so I kept looking into that, and of course, you know, there was X-Files. There was only pop culture talking about it, really, and weird documentaries, you know, about people getting abducted and being tested, you know, with probes, which I thought was pretty sexy. But no, the reality is nothing really happened for a while. Like in France, there is like a department actually to search UAPs, because we actually said UAPs, not UFOs. Back then, like you can go to the police station and be like, okay, fill a report saying like, okay, I saw these things, and then send it to a department that is actually doing research about those people that are seeing, you know, UFOs, and then they're trying to see what's up. But this exists like since called the Japon, and it exists like since the I don't know, 80s or 90s or something.
But
like
even
that.
like 70s, because when you look at the movies, maybe 2000 was a little bit different, but I always remember these guys with the aluminum foil and they were a little bit crazy, and then, oh no, it's real, like military's hiding it, and they always try to prove it to the rest of the world. It's always those characters were always in. And I remember actually you went to
Area 51.
Area 51.
I
like
did,
you
guys.
were that character.
Yeah.
But can you tell me more about that? Like,
all right. So, okay. After all other stories, all right, another story that my grandmother said, actually. So my grandfather and my grandmother were their home in south of France near the Atlantic coast. And at one point, my grandmother heard my grandfather saying like, hey, come here, come out. And she came with a remote and a shotgun or something like that. Because like
remote and a shotgun. That's that's an interesting combo. Yeah,
it's because she was thinking that my grandfather was calling her because there was a cat or some shit like that he wanted
cat. She was going to.
All right, don't judge. All right, country guys.
Okay.
And yeah, basically there was that, and then she came out, and then he was looking like look at this thing. It's so weird. So they looked over the Atlantic. All right, a few miles away. It was around 91.
Okay.
So I was born already.
1991.
Yeah. The way they described it, and my grandmother described it too. So it's not like,
well,
my grandfather now is a psycho and he's just like purely with. No, like my grandmother saw it. And like the stories almost came out from my grandmother. So they saw like this rectangular shape, you know, like shining and being weird in the sky, right? And it was during the day, beautiful day, no bull crap, all right? And then there was like a couple of things that separate in front of it. And like in small pieces. And then it just moved until it disappeared behind the horizon. Maybe. And the thing is, like at night, the airport from Bordeaux, which was the closest airport and also military field, was basically at a blackout. Is it connected? I don't know. But like as a kid, at that point, I was like, holy shit, that shit is real.
Yeah,
so I had to go and
see it for yourself.
Area 51, right? Because Area 51, for a lot of people, they think, it's that military base where they do UFOs. But what was interesting is like for years, until maybe just a couple of years ago, it was not even appearing on a map. Like aeronautic map, like you're flying, you take a map for flying, there was nothing there.
But now you can
on satellites, imagery, you can see there's something. And it's always been there. And people were thinking like this is the secret base in the US where they basically took the rest of the UFO that crashed in Roswell. And then,
now
trying
it's our turn to test on you guys.
Yeah, exactly. Type of things. And revenge, and get, technology.
But so you went to see it, but what was the year?
It was in 2008.
2008. And it's still not on the map or anything. It's still like...
I think that's the moment where it came out on the map for real. Okay. Right? So what was funny is like I saw a couple of documentaries explaining how people get to the base because it's pretty far in the Nevada, right? Like 4 hours away from Las Vegas.
So you were in France when you were watching the I can imagine you watching a documentary and, Ma, I'm going to US, taking your bag and like going to...
That was basically what happened.
Check. That's
And so through the documentary, like they were explaining not about like is there alien and things like that, but how they were operating in that kind of base, because there's so much secrecy about it that like for 40, 50 years, I mean, come on, someone should have said something, about it. So this documentary was actually showing that there was like planes in Las Vegas that were flying from Las Vegas to the base with no numbers on it and things like that. And some people, some crew, they're coming through a bus, which was blacked out windows. And basically they were saying like, if you're in the middle of the street when this bus coming, it's going to run you over, because their goal is like, they should not stop, right? To protect the identity of people inside that bus. So I was there with a good old friend of mine, and we went there and we actually saw the fucking bus. And we were like, what the fuck? So I'm not saying there is something. But I'm saying like this idea about Area 51 and this complexity about the secrecy that just being there, or kind of true. Are they just testing? Yeah, sure.
So Mina was asking like, what is aliens or what is extraterrestrial? Like, what does that mean? If you will try to describe it with a movie or something, that like a sci-fi movie, which one you would lean into? I have one in my mind, but I'm curious about yours.
A mix between Independence Day,
and
whatever. Actually, I didn't see a lot of alien movies, with the long face and things like that.
So Independence Day was more like they are coming and then they're gonna
and try to
took over kind of a situation. What else? What was the other thing you were thinking about?
I don't know, like the little grays, we can imagine with the fucking
like
round face and
E.T. kind of a situation.
Not E.T.
Did you know like physically, like what type of creature they are looking?
Did you know?
I'm talking about like a bacteria can be an alien.
Oh yeah, of course, of course.
No, intelligent.
I'm talking about here. I'm talking about real intelligence being.
Or are we talking about their intentions, like the more hostile?
That too, I think that too.
Friendly, or they're just totally lost. They don't even know.
We'll see.
That's why I asked as a movie, because movie can describe in different aspects of it too. Like, by the way, did you know E.T. is a plant?
Yeah.
At least. I mean, at least Neil deGrasse Tyson was kind of like, he said that he talked with Steven Spielberg and is like kind of Spielberg.
There was a long version where it's like in their planet of ETs, and it's weird as fuck. Yeah, and it was like a Universal Studio attraction where you were going through that weird planet at one point.
I didn't know that. I think I would say it's more like they are more like they live.
Oh,
like they're
zombies and
not zombies, but they are in the form of us. They are presenting themselves, but they're mostly like rich and powerful. and they're controlling the whole world.
Oh, and then I'm the one like with conspiracy bullshit theories. Right.
I was saying if, because if they're like that technology to come here and they can hide themselves from us, they can do that too. No, that's like Pacific Rim kind of a situation. Did you watch Pacific Rim?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was an okay movie.
Kaiju.
Exactly.
Now, like I didn't have any idea really. A lot of people were saying like, oh, this is this oval shape, head with like huge eyes and small mouth, and they're like tall, or there's like green ones, gray ones, or whatever. Like I never really believed in the being really in itself. I always thought that I couldn't like put a face on it. Now I'm thinking about different way of what they could look like, right?
Okay.
Because you asked me. But before, like even when I was a kid, I was not like, oh, those are aliens and they walk with their 2 feet, 2 ends, and can do things the same way as humans are doing. Like for me, it was like totally abstract. So
like Arrival, kind of like these.
Yeah, maybe, we don't know. Yeah, it's like just those UFOs. We don't know how to interact with them. Maybe there's like those type of aliens, but I'm not sure 100%. Never been convinced about that. Okay. Today, I'm a little bit more convinced.
Okay, what is it?
So the thing is, for the past few years, and it started in 2017, there was this leak of the Pentagon where it was like videos from F-18s that were following those weird objects in the sky, right? And because of too much pressure, the Pentagon was like, okay, yes, those are real, obviously. We don't know what it is. And then since then, there was a lot of people trying to figure out why did the Pentagon and military catch some stuff, or catch even on video or in like infrared camera on their planes, catch some stuff, and we don't know what it is, right?
Okay, yeah.
So they came up with a couple of
these are like pilots seeing them kind of a situation, right?
Yeah.
I wonder if they flick them passing by.
Like you mean like the FO is like, yeah, fuck off.
Yeah, fuck off, stop watching.
Get the fuck out. This is my space.
So are they kind of describing how they look?
Yeah.
Pentagon.
Yeah.
Or what are they saying?
So there was the famous Tic Tac incident, right, where people are saying it. So there's like this video where you have like this armed gear, inside the plane that basically sees something, and then bam, they catch it, and then the seed goes really, really fast, right? So that was the video that came out, right? It was called the Tic Tac incident. So basically, after a while, a lot of people got interested about it, and then there was like this congressional hearing last year. This year there was one like a few weeks ago, but then another one last
before
year.
That,
before, when you had like 3 people that came to testify, and one of them was the pilot that actually recorded the Tic Tac incident.
Okay,
right. And the guy during a testimony explained what he saw, because he saw that it's just not just purely on his camera. He saw literally the thing going on, moving around, and disappearing into.
And what did he describe? What he saw?
So it was not alone, first of all. They were like a patrol, so there were like at least 2 planes, and there were like 2 inside those planes, so there were at least 4 people. And the way they describe it, it was like this kind of orb that is tic-tac shaped. This is why people are saying the tic-tac incident. And there was no wings, no propulsion system. There was no light really coming up from here. There was no seams with rivets and other screws or anything. It was not metallic. It was kind of a whitish,
weather balloon.
Sure. No, but you could see that. But the thing is, the shape is not like right? And the problem was like that things like came to them pretty fast, did some weird movement, right? Followed them again, like kind of chased them, and then at one point just disappear in a second, like 60 miles away in their radar. Like in a second, 60 miles away. And that's the thing. Like at that point, they're like, okay, if it's a weather balloon, it goes really fast.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, no sound, nothing. So if it's something else, then what is this technology? Because like, I'm not saying the US is really good, about technology, but still, space, there's a lot of things going on.
I think this is the most important thing, because you also, I think it's one of the top reasons you believe these things, because the pilots, like these guys are so like good at spotting what is the things that they are seeing, and most of the times I think they can determine like if it's what type of a plane is it, like, so I think that's interesting too. Like I don't think they are lying or anything.
No, but coming from also a family of pilots,
Yeah.
It's like a highly skilled job, all right? But on top of that, like physically in terms of that, there's like high level also of education behind it. You have to learn everything about how our plane and everything works in terms of the technology that's yours. It's not like, oh, you're going to drive a car and then you're like, okay, where's the AC and that's it. No, you have to learn how everything is created in your plane in order to fly that plane. Like everything, like almost every component. So if there is something that is bad, you know exactly how to react, what could be the problem, and solve that issue really fast. So it's like a level of engineer of education. It's like physics and science in general to understand how it flies. So there's like so many constraints in terms of the physical aspect of the thing that you're flying that, yeah, you can have a good assessment about if you see something else, you can describe it and it's not like, oh yeah, I was drunk this time. No, it's like, okay, because of your knowledge about aerophysics, technology in general, you can have an assessment about like, okay, this is weird and this is strange.
So they see the Tic Tac thing, but what did they see as, like you were saying that they saw something like what the alien looked like or something?
No. So like this one was an incident, all right? And there was a couple of ones. There's like, and it's actually most of the time was like recorded through military operation here near Catalina Islands, in Los Angeles. And there was other things that occurred. Like there was this pilot, this incident. There was another one which was like from the ground on the ship, actually on the boat, and they actually with the radar seeing things going on and then going down the water. This is where this idea of they're living in the water comes from. It's because they saw some of those UAPs, all right, or UFOs, transiting sometimes from air to water and vice versa, coming up. And so the thing is, like, for them, is the technology is weird as fuck. And I think what is interesting is now we're in a new era where the government is asking accountability in some way, being like, okay, we spend so much on defense, right? How the fuck do we have some stuff that we don't know what it is, technologically wise? We have like really interesting people, really knowledgeable people that are seeing stuff. They cannot describe or comprehend what it is. And those things are coming over our military bases and stuff like that. So it could definitely be a potential problem, right? So they're taking that seriously nowadays. So for the hearing from last year, there was the pilot from the Tic Tac incident, but there was also another guy who actually came to testify saying that he has knowledge about a secret government program to study UAPs, but also retrieving UAPs or UFO that crashed and trying to re-engineer, what's going on. And also,
I'm waiting the moment that he's going to describe the alien. I'm still there. Like, are you going to describe the alien?
I am. And so he said something. He said that in that they also have the report of those were actually being piloted, some of them, by other entities, right? So aliens that crashed and they recovered. I mean, the government. Recovered some bodies too of those piloting, UFOs. So the way you describe it,
and
because this is what you want to learn,
just building up. Yeah, okay.
They basically, what really was intriguing me is say that he saw the video of one of those alien being, but for him it's not even alien from out of space. It's like it's for interdimensional beings, whatever. And he says that it's the weirdest things that he ever saw in terms of it's scary as fuck. And the moment you're facing that being basically make you like, it feels like you're with something that is like, when you enter a room sometimes and the atmosphere is kind of weird, you're on your own and people are going to be like, oh, maybe there's ghosts and things. Well, you say it's describing something like that. Like there's that presence of that being, but there is something else, basically that surrounds this atmosphere. And it's kind of terrifying. So it's kind of reflection of ourselves in some way. Because from the way he described it, not too much, but I saw that in other interview that he did, basically saying that they basically look like human, but in a way that we would be scared of watching that. Like really, like if you were to show that to other people, they would be fucking scared. Like most of the people on Earth would be fucking scared. Like it's terrifying, like their look and the face that they have.
But
and
they
things
look like
that.
human.
They kind of, but not like human flesh like we are. But in terms of, yeah, bipeds, or, obviously 2 arms and a big fucking head, eyes that are weird as fuck. I don't think they talk about flesh or anything. It didn't go into details about that. But the way he described it was basically saying like, yeah, it's ominous and that creates so much stress in yourself. And you don't know if they communicate through also
like
telepathically or something like that. So it's kind of, there's like this weird shit, that goes like straight up to you are as a human being. Yeah. So for me, at that point, I'm like, okay, I'm sold. Fuck this shit. And this is what I'm talking about, this idea of Independence Day, aliens. So even though Independence says alien, they look like kind of alien too, with the bullshit behind there. But there was like this scene where they're looking at one of Professor, and they kind of get into his mind. They're kind of scary at the same time, but they're human-like scary, I would say. I don't know. This is how I can describe them. I mean, I never saw any of them.
But I'm always really skeptical about testimonials. Like, I know like it's a group of people experiencing something at the same time, but I also know that sometimes someone says something, the other one's kind of approves that, repeats that. Yeah. I think the pilots are a little bit more interesting to me. Like 2 pilots, professional, might jeopardize their multiple. Like
my sister saw something too. I told you.
So that but even that, I need more still.
I mean, the thing for me was
and let's go a little bit further. Like, let's say that I agree, I lean into the idea of there's some beings here.
But that's the thing.
What's the motivation?
I know. Let me just finish that. I think what is interesting is separating those 2 ideas. I think there's this question about UFOs, things that we're seeing in the sky that we don't understand, and we're trying to understand that. And then there's this story about, other beings, basically, right? Aliens. And I was not convinced at all about that at all, ever. In my mind, I was like, okay, just testimony, as you were saying. Like, the reality is, even if I take my grandma and grandpa seeing, UFO in the sky, they saw UFO. They didn't see any aliens. They didn't see any human being in it. It could be AI, some form of AI. They're super advanced too, and using drones. So, yeah. But for me, first of all, we need to acknowledge the fact that, there's some weird shit flying around. Like, my sister's a pilot. She saw so many times some weird fucking shit in the sky, light that are almost out of space, and they move around, they stay there, they diminish, and then move back, and then they come back to a certain position. And she was seeing that in the middle of Kyrgyzstan and some shit like that, in the middle of fucking nowhere, basically.
Lasers. No, just
that's the thing. And then that's the weird thing is sure, but then how do you explain a guy that is doing Los Angeles from Chicago into a plane and can see the same fucking thing? And a lot of commercial pilots actually describe some type of things that they're seeing, which are exactly the same. And nobody really questioned them. Nobody was like, okay, maybe there's something really, we should study that. So this first aspect about UAPs and flying things, for me, 100%. That does exist. What is it? I don't know. I don't think it's personally, I don't think it's human technology, because the way an object moving from one point to 60 miles away in a second is literally impossible if you take, our conception of what is the physics, gravity, and things like that. So in terms of G's, it's impossible. Nobody will be able to stay there. And even if it's just autonomous, meaning there's no one in there piloting it, still that would shatters.
Yeah.
So there's this part. And then now, since the hearing from last year, there's this second idea that, okay, there might be beings and kind of, following, coming, to see us. And that's why, I was skeptical. Now I'm a little bit less skeptical, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, aside of all of these testimonials or some evidence in terms of recordings or these professionals talking about it, why though? Why are they again, maybe from the movies, that the best I can do is the day the earth stands what was the most? Yeah, stand still. That was interesting because this representative kind of coming to earth saying earth is so valuable, it's can contain life, and we as an alien civilizations, not just one, need to know you guys are cool and taking care of this. Like that was really interesting, because I would assume when you're at a level of, high level of civilization, you are more peaceful than destructive. It feels like it could be other way around too, or whatever. But so I can see something. Okay, they come here, they observe us, and they're trying to check how we are doing. Like there was this theory that after atom bombs invented, like we start seeing them a lot more, because they are like wanna be sure that we are not messing things up.
But that's the thing. I don't think they give a shit about if we mess up or not. I think they are intrigued about what we're doing. Just that. I don't think they care about the environment. I don't think they care about Earth in itself. I think it's like us, studying some ants sometimes on the ground. You're like, oh, this is funny. Look, this guy just got this piece of breadcrumb on his back, and this guy is going somewhere else. It doesn't make any sense.
But do you think they are coming from an evolutionary like us, or they're from other dimensions? What do you think about that? Doesn't matter.
Yeah, for me it doesn't matter.
Because that's interesting to me.
It could be both. It could be both.
Did they created us? Did they come here as a test, or
maybe,
or is it more like we become in the future something, and they're coming back to it's us coming back and checking on us or something?
The thing is also, if you take multi-dimension,
it could be on that.
Yeah, but if you take multi-dimension, doesn't mean it's the same place, the same moment either. It's another dimension, another same space, and could be totally different too.
Yeah, what is time, it's not something we have a lot. We need to wrap it up.
Nice.
Is it time to wrap it up?
Really good. But yeah, I don't know. The intention, I think it's just studying. Do we look at the ants and be like, oh, I want the ants to be protected in their fucking ant city? No, you don't give a shit. You just look at what their behaviors are, and I think they're doing the same. Is those UFOs or UAPs or even aliens that we might have in the government facilities, secret, blah, blah, hideout, are they the exact alien? I don't think so. I think it might be just as ants, there's different workers. There's the worker, there's the army people, there's this. It might be just that. So it's maybe not even the big representing being from their planet or whatever dimension they're coming from.
I think that's still I wouldn't lean into that, because personally, I feel if that's the case, we still should be seeing them. Or so. I still don't understand why they are hiding. If I'm interacting with an ant, the ant is still experiencing something, a huge finger coming at it or just crashing it or something. You can, it still has an experience of a human that's giant, but
but do they?
They do. I think I would believe if they are
they're
organizing in a sense. I think they are they have sensory systems that can get information around them.
Maybe.
So they're seeing something. They won't say, oh, these are humans, but they still see something. We don't even see anything. So
a lot of people are not saying, but as we were saying, some people are seeing things.
But it's just so vague and mushy-mashy.
I agree. The time will come. Bashar told us. Bashar.
I think I will lean into the idea of there are multiple civilizations, because I would assume maybe one or two or three, whatever, if they share their technology with each other, collaborate in some sense and work together, I think you can get in terms of technology more advanced.
Yeah, maybe.
It's humans collaborating makes us better than other animals in terms of building and creating and technology. So maybe the civilizations who manage to travel in space and find certain technologies somehow come together. So I will lean into that idea more. But at the same time, it could be just one.
I think there is multiple, because there is multiple in terms of the
different
UAPs
shapes,
that we see different shapes. So maybe different type of beings too. Who knows? But anyway, what do you guys think? Do you believe
please,
in UFOs?
please ask us more questions about it.
Yeah, right.
On the comment section.
But yeah, we'll see. Maybe soon. It's really interesting though that there's government right now people that wants to know what's going on. And those earrings are definitely the most interesting things that we can see for the past few years. So
yeah.
we'll see.
I think it's time to share that I'm actually an alien, and I was just tricking these guys the whole time.
Thank you. Appreciate.
Thanks for watching, guys.
You can follow us on social media at Yes and No Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, follow us, share.
Like, and subscribe.
Exactly.
And share.
Share.
And like.
Yes.
And subscribe.
Yeah. Yes and No Podcast, all attached. See you guys. I was your host, Matt.
And I was your co-host, Arda. See you guys next video.